views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Coming up on this edition of Perspective, Starbucks closes down for race-sensitive training. What does it really solve? Do we understand what racism is in our social media-driven society? Are we only using, quote, the race card against people we disagree with? Well, I'll discuss that and more with details. And when comedians make jokes about race, should there be any backlash at all? Especially because we advocate free speech for comedians who seem to carry out our agenda. That plus a whole lot more of this edition, and an exciting one, of Perspectives. Stay tuned.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective?
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime. Of course, we thank you for joining us. As always, you can watch Perspectives every week here on BronxNet's channel 67. If you have Verizon Fios, of course, it's 33. We invite you to stay connected to us. Stay connected to us on our social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then also my professional page, Daren C. Jaime. And you can get some inspiration there as well. Talking about race and race relations, we're talking about Roseanne, talking about Starbucks, talking about the latest that's going on, and a good conversation to have. A lot going on in the world, and so we've got two very special guests with us in studio. Joining me now is my good friend, Joyce Johnson. She's worked on Obama for American campaign hire in 2007. She's a community leader with corporate and government experience. She's also made runs for public office, including a congressional bid in 2010 and 2012. She's also a key political contributor right here on Perspectives. Also joining us is Tiffany Joy Murchison. She is the founder, CEO of TJM & Company, a full-service media boutique in Brooklyn. She's done about 2 decades of experience in relationship management. She's going to help us out. Communications, public administration, and business operations. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Well, you picked two dynamic women.
Listen, nothing can go wrong today,
He's
right?
hiring us too, right?
That's it. That's it. I got the analyst, I got the PR person, we got the anchor, we got enough, and a lot to talk
And
about.
a lot
Oh,
to
yes.
talk about.
And let's back up a few minutes.
Yeah.
And the latest comments actually that comes out, first of all, is Roseanne. And Roseanne makes these disparaging comments and talking about Valerie Jarrett, former senior advisor to President Obama.
Right.
And ultimately is fired for her comments about this. Some people are surprised. ABC immediately says that she's done with. Some people are surprised, but I'll just go around and just get your thoughts on just the comments itself.
Well, you know, we have gotten, with President Trump in office, we have almost been dumbed down now with surprise after surprise assault on every good, well-meaning integrity, and so many hateful things and we're almost rounded down. And I'm glad to see, like in the case of the Starbucks president and the firing by ABC of Roseanne. You know, I think we have just gotten, well, I hope, just sick and tired of being sick and tired and now to act, because it's gone far beyond the pale. And the majority of America don't support these ideas of Roseanne or anyone else. And I think we're just, it's like put the brakes on now, because what more can happen? We don't stop now. How much more outrageous can we take our social life, our political life, and just common decency?
Mm-hmm.
Trump has made it the norm to just say whatever you think off the cuff whenever you feel like saying it. And I think the difference with this situation with Roseanne, because this isn't her first,
Right.
is that we have some very different people sitting at the table. We have a sister sitting at the table at ABC, a person in power. Starbucks has the same situation. There's a sister sitting in a seat of power. So the conversation is a little different. I am curious to know if those sisters weren't sitting in those places, would the conversation still have been the same?
That's a very good point.
We
Raise
have,
the issue.
yeah, we
Very
have
good point.
African American women in very powerful places, in very large businesses, in corporate, that we didn't always have. Roseanne, this is not her first time out the gate. And I guess Trump has given her a little bit of comfort. You know, my father used to say, beep rolls downhill. You know, it starts from the top. So they're just following the candidate that they voted for.
But she's been consistent long before President Trump was ever running for office. I mean, she made comments with regards to Susan Rice
Right.
Right.
during the
Yes,
Obama
indeed.
administration.
Right.
Yes,
She's,
indeed. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
she's even dressed up as, you know, as Hitler.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, and so I mean, she does have a wide range.
Yeah.
It's not just blacks. I mean,
No.
she's taking on
He's
Jews
hateful,
and so
exactly,
right.
exactly. But I think in the context of the assault on all levels and so many people and so many incidents of race and bigotry, not just among blacks and Jews, immigrants and all of this, it is now, we are being rounded down to it's just an assault on our society. And I think people are just, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. That's why social media blows up in an instant. And it is our way of saying enough is enough. And I think it's working.
No,
I think it's working.
There's a lot to be said.
Yeah.
I want to go. I guess we do have some graphics that we can show you, so that way you can get a little bit of a better context about some of the comments, and then also not just the comments, but the response by ABC in being able to do that. So if you want to go ahead right now. So this is from Robert Iger talking about from Shannon Dungy, president of ABC Entertainment. This is in response to Roseanne's comments. Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. And we've decided to cancel her show. There was only one thing to do here, and that was the right thing. And, you know, when you come to ABC, though, I don't give ABC a pass, only because they knew what they were getting before they brought her back
Right,
on.
right.
And so it was only but a matter of time before something else would come on.
That's
I
a
mean,
good
if
point.
you really want to say that they did the right thing,
Yeah.
to me, the right thing would have never been giving her a shot.
Yeah.
But now we know subsequently they've taken off her previous series. They've taken, you know, everything that she's been attached to has now been done away with.
solid.
But the thing that I'll say is nobody thought to do this until now.
So
It's a
the
perfect
backstory
storm.
is that there was an agreement that she would refrain from her Twitter rants and the comments and all that kind. So that's the backstory. She supposedly had allegedly agreed that she would behave, so to speak. It takes me back to, I remember my father used to watch Archie Bunker.
Yes.
And it was, you know, my father would say he was an equal opportunity bigot. You know, he hated everybody. So it was kind of okay. You could laugh at it because he hated blacks, he hated whites, he hated Jews, he hated everybody.
He hated himself.
Yeah,
Right, he hated himself.
Meathead, yeah.
But I think right now we are in a time of heightened sensitivity, one, and we have very short attention spans, two, and the two are clashing. So Roseanne said what she said, what's done is done. By tomorrow, we'll be talking about the next tweet, right? There'll be something else. We have an attention span that's that short. But we also have heightened sensitivity.
Yes.
And because of everything that's going on in the African American community with Black Lives Matter, Me Too movements, all this stuff is putting the spotlight on this right now. ABC didn't have time to weigh options. They needed to react, and they needed to react now. And so, and again, we have Channing sitting at the table, a woman of color who is going to say, pump the brakes. I'm not here for this. We're not doing this. And again, the conversation may have been different had she not been sitting at the table. But we're in such a heightened sensitivity. We're reacting to stuff that we shouldn't react to sometimes, and then we're reacting to other things, but the attention span is so short. I would like to see us as a community get behind something like this and stay behind it, so that we don't have another Roseanne Barr situation. We don't have another tweet that comes out that is derogatory and just blatant, you know, racism. We don't even want to say racism. Starbucks is saying anti-bias.
You brought up Starbucks. I'm going to bring up a break because she's talking about sensitivity. Coming up after the break, I want to talk about sensitivity training. Starbucks closes down for a day for quote-unquote sensitivity training. Was it successful? What can we learn from this? We'll talk about that when we return right here on Perspectives right after this. Back here on Perspectives, the conversation is being centered around racial sensitivity, racism, as you call it, from anywhere from television all the way down to Starbucks. It's all around, but it's a conversation piece that needs to be had. Before we go into talking about Starbucks, I want to show you at least the tweet that Roseanne Barr put out and apologizing. I use the word apologizing for her comment that she made. And this came from Roseanne Barr on her Twitter page. She says, "I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I'm truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me, my joke was in bad taste." Coming from Roseanne Barr. And she only gets 30 seconds more. Go ahead.
It was no joke. It was who she is. She did what she said what she had to do to try to save her job and her career, and it was too little, too late, too egregious in the context of all the assault on so many areas right now. So timing is everything. Her timing was poor. It might have been okay, 2 years ago, but one thing after another, we're being beat down by the drumbeat of racism, bigotry, homophobia, anti-immigrant, and and so with God, thank God for social media, whoever, Facebook, Mr. Zuckerberg, he hasn't done it right, but he's given us a voice and a powerful voice, and so that was a little bit too late and certainly not genuine.
She needs a publicist.
And a psychiatrist.
From one publicist to the right,
She needs a publicist. A lot of times I look and I'm like, where's their publicist? And not that what they say is right, but if you're going to apologize, know how to apologize. She totally blamed it on ambient. So now I'm looking to see what the company's going to say about that, because now you just gave them a notch, you know. Now folks are going to say, oh, wait, maybe I don't want to take ambient, because there was not really any accountability in that apology.
No, and there wasn't. That's right.
There's no accountability in the apology. But what do you expect?
Exactly.
You talked about father. My father says if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck.
Check them for feathers.
Right, that's it.
Check them for feathers.
That's it. Listen, she's got on her.
Check them for feathers.
She's got on her Starbucks green today. So let's talk.
I
You got to eat. So listen, Starbucks.
Give credit.
Starbucks shut down for a few hours. Yesterday from the day of this taping, to really address the issue of race or have a conversation about race and race relations. This following the arrest of 2 African-American men in a Philadelphia Starbucks who stopped in Starbucks, was waiting for a meeting, had not yet took the meeting. The gentleman that they were actually waiting for was actually a white gentleman, incidentally. And they were in there for 2 minutes before management actually called the police, and the police subsequently arrested. Starbucks later had agreed to a settlement, and as part of that settlement, they're going to give to charity of those 2 men, but also agreed that they would shut down for a half a day yesterday for sensitivity training. And I was flying yesterday, and I happened to go by one of the Starbucks, and there was no Starbucks to go to get to.
Right.
And that was because there was this sensitivity training that was going on. And so let's, first of all, for me, I'll say shout out to them.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Because in order for a national business to say I'm going to shut down my doors for a minute, with whatever, it was definitely a bold gesture that was made.
It was a bold statement, and we will certainly agree that in 4 hours no one can get sensitivity training. But it is a beginning, and that bold gesture is what we applaud.
Yes.
And we need other industries and companies and sports, of, whatever, to do likewise. So
Yes.
you give him credit for that. 6 months later, we'll see how it, turns out.
Right.
And it must be repeated. I'm a former director of equal employment opportunity of Fortune 500 company. So I've gone through the thing of going company-wide, sensitivity trainings in the era back in the day when blacks in corporate America in the early 70s and 80s were non-existent.
Right.
And as a director of EEO, I was really like 1 in a million around the country.
Right.
But we had to do the same thing. So this is deja vu. So give the companies, give them credit, and then we'll see, what happens from that. But it must be repeated and become a part of the fiber of the country. So one-shot deals don't work anywhere.
So let me talk to the publicist for a minute, ask the question, how much some people have viewed this as a PR stunt, your perspective?
Stunt, no. A great PR strategy, absolutely. But as I was just saying earlier on the break, PR works best from the inside out. That's what I always say. So you start with what's going on inside of your company or inside of your business first. Because if you stink inside, you're going to stink outside. And that's why we are here with Starbucks. So stunt, no. The loss of revenue that they experience for that 4 hours, that's not a stunt. So they are at least
Got a whole lot of money now. I mean, they're not missing. I mean, they're
Yeah.
really not missing the money.
The stunt part of it, I will say, is common. They went and got, how we say, I got one black friend. So they went and got the one black friend to join them in this anti-bias training. So let's be clear, because they're not calling it anti-racism, they're calling it anti-bias, which you cannot change someone's, well, maybe you can change someone's perspective. I'm not looking to necessarily change your thought process in the beginning.
Right.
But I am looking to change how you react or respond off of your thought process. That's the first part. I have to get you to not do what you would normally do. So that's what this is about. You think how you want to think. We may not know that when you're hired. We may not care. But whether or not you're going to show what you think.
You can't act that out.
Right,
in
you
the
can't
company
act that out
on
in
company time.
Right. So that's what
Yep,
this
yep,
really
yes,
is.
exactly.
More so than anything else. Now they say this is just a start. So let's see,
We'll see.
Right.
6 months
We'll
down
see.
the line if this is continuous. But they went and got, and people said it, they ran and got Common, as opposed to like a Kendrick Lamar or a Jay-Z. Common is, tends to be very even-keeled, very intelligent brother, but they went and got Common to work on this campaign. So some of the footage that they showed was some training that he developed for them. So I'm
Yes.
curious to see what that looks
Yes.
like. I haven't yet seen them publish that actual footage. I'm curious to see what that looks like, but we'll see. Not a stunt, no, a good strategy, but it's just a start.
And hopefully an opportunity, because they have set a bar that, frankly, is mighty high.
Yep.
So should this happen again?
Exactly. Now
Should this happen again?
This is what I was saying
Yeah.
about when you talk about companies and corporations.
Yeah.
They have now literally set a bar to say, if we're really serious about this, you can at least do like Starbucks did.
Exactly. And it becomes part of the, once again, in the face of this whole Trumpism and all of this, it becomes a powerful, larger statement. Not effective. Effective is long term, and we'll know that. But at least it's better than sitting back and doing nothing.
Right.
Because what that gives everyone else the flag to continue
Right.
with this mess that's going on.
We're going to have a conversation after this. The question is going to be asked, how do we really have an honest conversation about race? We'll ask that hard question right after this.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
We're back on Perspectives in our topic of conversation, racism in America, the recent comments by Roseanne, Starbucks, but then I also said, how do we have a conversation about race? And we may get to that, but I do want to talk about one more thing. The NFL has recently come out with their policy, and their policy about taking a knee, saying that if players want to take a stand, they can take a knee. They can't take a knee, but they can stay in the locker room during that. Given the fact of Colin Kaepernick being the person that actually started all of this, just want to get your thought, your perspective. I think you had something very interesting on Facebook as well.
I did. I posted on Facebook 3 days ago. No, it was over the weekend, that America is more angry with black men taking a knee than white men committing mass shootings. And it was a blow up, and everyone said profound, and it was. I don't know how it came out, but profound, and the thought, and that's the thought, but it's the reality. And got a cross section of people like, wow. It was so almost like startling when you put the two together in you know, almost in opposition to one another, but one's reverence against taking a knee versus no comment, and you know, all kinds of things about the something's wrong with you, if, you know, if it's physical, not therapy, but the therapy and all of this. But the long story short, I had conversations on both sides. Blacks who said Colin Kaepernick was not really black and we shouldn't care about him, castrated the movements, the Me Too, Black Lives Matter, that's run by, you know, lesbians, whatever. So we have a lot of work, lesbians and other whatever. We have a lot of work to do. So it is not just white America, but but the majority. I say this. You've heard me say this before. It is that 30% that who is emboldened by one person. They would not have a voice or a presence. They'd be underground as they have been until Obama got elected, and they got more, you know, whatever. But it's been emboldened by a president who fuels this, and I don't know what he fuels it, and it gives them license.
So the NFL has a great publicist, because the whole idea of you don't have to support the national anthem, but you can't be seen not supporting the national anthem. That's why they can stay in the locker room. Because we don't want you to be seen. You know, children should be seen and not heard. We don't even want you to be seen at this point. So, you know, talk about free speech. You just took away their free speech.
To say First Amendment.
Yeah, you just took away their First Amendment right.
There's got to be a lawsuit around that coming.
But again, we in the black community are so divided that we want to argue whether or not the man is white, black, we should support him, we shouldn't support him. We should all stand behind him regardless. Obama getting elected showed us how far we have come. Trump getting elected and this situation with Colin Kaepernick shows us how much further we have to go. We have not arrived, and we need to not be comfortable and content thinking because I got my 6-figure job and my 2.5 children and my white picket fence and my whatever Jaguar or Mercedes or whatever, that we've arrived. And you know, what happened to paying it forward? What happened to being collective as a community and standing up for one another? This man doesn't know any of us, but he stands up for our kids and our rights, and we can't, you know.
And the irony is I don't know if you know, but I mean, if you go back, Tim Tebow,
yes.
who also is, you know, a football player as well, took a knee, but he took a knee for abortion and is hailed as a hero. And yet still Colin Kaepernick takes a knee about really police brutality, racial injustice, and you know, Tebow is now playing baseball and
Right.
got a baseball contract and a book out.
Yes.
Not too far away from me.
That's
you know,
the hypocrisy.
And now you've got Colin Kaepernick who can't even get a job and is definitely qualified to be, you know, a backup quarterback
Right.
in the NFL. Even for the Buffalo Bills, I got somebody upstairs that laughed. I mean, anywhere. I mean, listen, you could get a job. He could get a job,
Well,
but
he's
it's very clear
qualified.
that
It
he's
is-
qualified
yeah,
and they
yeah,
still
yeah.
won't do it. But it goes to show the hypocrisy and literally the blackballing that's going on. And you have to remember, too, that our current president, President Trump, also tried to get ownership in the NFL.
Yes, he
that
did.
was blocked by
Yes, he
owners.
did. Yes, he
and I'm
did.
sure that Washington, D.C. played a major role
Yes, yes,
in coming
indeed.
up and shaping with this policy and this procedure. So they're telling me that we're out of time. Oh, yeah, just like that. So I got to bring you guys back. You want to come back again?
Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed.
Okay, good. So then,
Much to talk
all right,
about.
there's much to talk about. So our 30 minutes is up, and want to thank Tiffany, want to thank Joyce for being with us, and a wonderful, wonderful show here on Perspectives. That's what we do. We share our perspective, and you never know, it just might make a difference in somebody else's life. But for all of us here on the set of Perspectives, I'm Daren Jaime. Thanks for watching. Until next time we meet, stay safe, share your perspective.
Because it might make a difference in someone else's life. What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let 'em know.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
Express what's on your mind. What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.